It's approximately 1.6086.
Hey Siri, what's 23 divided by 37?
It's approximately 0.6216.
Terrible.
I love how she says it's approximately and then gives you what it actually is.
Well, it's one of those like
I
repeating.
mean, I guess it's rounded up to the closest 1,000th or 10,000th, whatever it is. But
I don't know, man. She's got a lot. She had a lot of digits there.
Let me pull up the stream and make sure it's working.
All right, so you remember last year we picked games based on who we wanted, not necessarily who we thought. Did you remember that?
I don't remember doing that, but that's fine by me.
I just don't like.
That is what I'm doing this week.
Okay, so you're picking based on what you want to happen, not necessarily like because I think it's too
Correct.
hard to pick. Like that's the thing to me is it's too. These games are both. This should be the best football of the year.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just down to who you're rooting for at this point.
Yeah, definitely. What's going on, Alan? Thanks for stopping in, man.
What up? I don't have the old YouTube up yet.
Have you seen how we literally just got going?
That's true.
I don't blame you. What's your prediction for this weekend, Alan? Before we jump into it.
Yeah, who you got? Who you got? I'll just copy your picks.
Yeah. You're picking for us.
Nody squat. Alan Nody squatted up. Let's go. Who did I almost put myself under best of the booth for calling this NFC Championship game. Best of the booth, man.
I mean, that is fair. I feel like I heard
Bengals. That's that'll be a good game.
I want to say that I heard like maybe one other person predict Eagles Niners. But I mean, nobody. I feel like not a lot of people were talking Eagles in the NFC Championship game.
Man, I believed. What's crazy to me is the Niners still made it, despite all of. Yeah, put money.
And really, like, I'm sure we'll get into this once we get started. But like, I feel like So when I made my prediction for the Niners, it was based off of Trey Lance starting the whole season.
Yeah.
And had it been Jimmy G starting, I probably would have given them a decent amount more wins. I don't know how many. I don't know. Like, because I want to say, so now I gotta pull it up. I gotta pull up just see what I gave him, because I want to say I gave him like something like in the 4 or 5 win territory
for the 49ers.
I'm pretty sure.
That's hilarious. I had them as the number 1 seed.
I know.
All along.
I know. I remember us getting into it about that because
hilarious. I can't wait to go back and listen.
Crazy.
I'm
apparently,
so excited to go listen to the first shows.
All right. Well, it would have been the West preview. Yeah, West preview.
Yeah.
Where you at, West?
Yeah, man. I knew that this defense is ridiculous, and the offense. That's also not
6.
That's
6 and 11.
Christian McCaffrey.
6 and 11 is what I had them.
Ooh,
with Trey Lance, and that's because I have zero faith in Trey Lance, and I still continue to have zero faith because everything that I've seen from him points to him not being spectacular. Although it's been very limited, so there's always a chance that he does pan out. But yeah, if Jimmy had been there, I would have given them at least 10. Probably 11, 10 or 11. But I don't know if I would have said NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, man. Hey, sometimes you just know.
Sometimes you just get lucky too.
No! Don't you do that! Don't you do that! This isn't like Peter backdooring his way into being right about the Chargers having 10 wins because they should have been better and weren't because of injuries.
Oh man. All right.
Gonna take away my credit. Come on. Gosh. No, hey, I never thought, for the record, I never thought the Rams were gonna be good this year.
Yeah.
I said all along.
Since I have it pulled up here, Los Angeles Rams 13-4. That's why I said 13-4.
I think I had them at like 9 and something.
Den-
I had them definitely better than they were.
Denver
but-
Broncos 12-5. Las Vegas Raiders 13-4. Los Angeles Chargers 15-2. Just nailed everything. Kansas City Chiefs, I thought were gonna have a down year and be 11-6.
I had the Chiefs at 9-8, the Broncos at 12-5, Chargers at 13-4, Raiders at 7-10. Nailed that one. And you guys were like, "You're an idiot," and I was like, "I'm not. I mean, I'm not an idiot." 7-10, and then they went 7-10. I did have the Rams at 10 wins. I also had the Cardinals at 9 wins and the Seahawks at 2 wins. So
I had the Seahawks going 0-17, so I nailed that one.
yeah, I did have the 49ers at 13-4. So pretty close.
All right, I'm gonna kick this thing off.
Go for it, man.
Championship weekend is upon us. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Booth Review. As always, I'm your host, Devin Primrose, joined by my brother from another mother, Mr. Blake Ivy. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. I guess probably like the biggest news is I've like actually started streaming. Not with any kind of like it's been 2 nights that I've been streaming. But you gave me that capture card, and so the other night Zeke was actually like, "Hey, Dad, can we stream some Rocket League later?" And I was like, "You don't have to ask me twice."
That's how it all starts, man. That's how it all starts.
So the kid wanted to do it, so got to play some. We streamed Rocket League last night, and the stream was a little shaky.
Yeah.
Did some adjustments, and then streamed some 2K after that, and then we streamed again tonight. So
What are you going
little
through?
OBS.
Yeah.
So I've got okay. So I've got my PlayStation running into the capture card, and then from the capture card into my monitor and the
Right.
laptop. I've got my microphone into the laptop. Streaming on Twitch. Yeah, if you guys want to watch us stream, it's twitch.com/comedyguy89. That's my name on everything, pretty much.
Yeah, if
Comedy
you're
Guy
in the
89.
Discord, you already know that. You can just, it's easy to pop over.
Yeah, so you can find it. I'll try to plug myself in the Discord over there when we go live. But yeah, so run it on Twitch, OBS. So still don't have like all the cool graphic stuff.
I was
like
gonna
you
say,
have
you
on
gotta
this
figure all that out. It's pretty easy because you have a Canva membership, don't you?
I don't have like the pro one, but I have like the free
Okay.
one. Yeah.
I
So,
do. I was gonna
yeah.
say, I think you've got to go pro to get the like transparent background
Okay.
ones, but that's, I mean, it's super easy. I also have a pro account that I can just let you use if you want to do all that. So yeah,
Alright.
it's pretty easy. But yeah, man, OBS is fun to play around with and figure out. So,
Yeah, so yeah, that's what I've been doing the last couple days is working, trying my hand at streaming, and it's like, hey, I play video games a lot. Might as well like hang out with other people and be a little more social.
Yeah.
So and it's time with Zeke, which is always great. And hey, listen, if you like, that's really the entertainment is coming to watch Zeke, who's 5, and he He can't sit still while he plays. It's really fun time, and we're goofy together. So, but anyway,
Five and surprisingly pretty dang good at Rocket League. Probably at least as good as me when he wants to be.
maybe I'm not.
Well,
I won't
like I
say
said,
I'm
when he wants to be. If he's like
right.
sitting there focused, but
Yeah.
that also, you get about 30 seconds of that.
Well, he's been a little bit more focused the last couple times we played, which has been fun. But anyway, all that to plug myself and what I'm doing. What about you? How are things? How are things with you?
Same old, man. It's the same old story, man. Working and watching football when I can. That's what I'm doing. And this weekend we had some pretty good ones. I wouldn't say any of the games were exceptional. I think that the Niners Cowboys game was fun from like a old school football fan viewpoint. The like two powerhouse defenses going at each other.
I loved it.
But none of the games were exceptionally good or exciting.
I feel like that one and the Chiefs Jags game.
Yeah, those were the two best
games.
Yes, yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it was good games. I think that we did get arguably the best four teams in the championship weekend. I think that you could make an argument between that the Bills are better than the Bengals. However, the Bills haven't looked like it over the last couple weeks. I said it last week that the fact that they allowed the Dolphins to get into that game the way they did with their third string quarterback was a little worrisome. And I think that showed up on Sunday against the Bengals. And the Bengals have won like 10 in a row now, so they absolutely deserve to be championship weekend. Yeah, I'm excited, man.
Them and the 49ers are both on like a ridiculous double-digit win
streak. 49ers haven't lost since like the first week of October.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, crazy. Well, I mean, since we're talking football, I'll just jump into my best of the booth, man.
Do it.
And
who was your best from last week?
We talked about the Chiefs and Jags being one of the top games of the weekend, and I think the reason why is because we all came to the realization that maybe Patrick Mahomes is actually the GOAT. It's like credit to Tom Brady where I have to give it, and that he is the most accomplished. But that's a lot of that's due to the fact that he's been on the right team at the right time, playing for the best coach of all time, and he's been playing for like 21 years now, 22 years now. So of course, when you play that long, you're going to get a lot of accolades. Patrick Mahomes just played a game with one leg. I mean, this was almost like watching. This is almost like watching like a Michael Jordan flu game type moment.
Oh yeah, for
sure. I mean, he's literally yelling at his coach, yelling at the trainers. No, you're not taking me out of this. I'm playing this game. There was a lot of four-letter words mixed in there too, and like you just love to see it. And the guy went out there on one leg and threw 22 of 30, which is 73.3% completion percentage, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, and had a 112.5 passer rating, which was the highest of the weekend. The highest out of all 8 quarterbacks playing this weekend. He did it on one freaking leg. And it's amazing what he continues to do year after year is unbelievable. And, a Hall of Fame quarterback, it helps out when you have a Hall of Fame tight end. And Travis Kelce was amazing on Saturday as well. 14 receptions, 98 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I think he had 17 targets, and like nobody else on that team. I want to pull this up before I say it. He had 17 targets, and the most anybody else had was 7. Travis Kelce was getting all of the attention, and I think like, if you're on the Jacksonville defense, you have to know that Kelsey's going to be getting all the attention. How do you not stop that? How do you not stop that?
That's what I said in the Discord when Kelsey got that first touchdown, where he just kind of like he starts to block and then he leaks back towards the middle. Foye Oluokun, I don't know what he was doing. There already was somebody going out. I think it was McKinnon that was in on that play, not Pacheco. And so somebody went out with McKinnon, and Foye goes to help with McKinnon and leaves Travis Kelce standing wide open, 12 feet from the end zone. Like, what do you like? I will always love Foye because he was in Atlanta. He was the tackle. Like, NFL's leading tackler in Atlanta, and then did it again this year with the Jags. Ridiculous. But like in that moment, dude, you gotta know where number is it 87, right? I don't want to be dumb.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Peter's he's gonna punch us in the face. He's just laughing at us.
Yes, it is 87.
87. You got to know where 87 is at all times. You got like, I don't why would you double team McKinnon in that situation? Like he's he's a good football player, but he's not Travis Kelce.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, he was, and like I had a high ankle sprain back. I don't remember if we were doing the podcast when it happened, but I was playing soccer with Zeke, and like I thought I broke my leg, man. Like it was all. I don't remember if I cried, but like I'm a grown man. And I know that I called Maddie and was like, I was across the street. There's a cemetery across from our house, and there's a big field behind it. We're playing soccer in the field, and I heard a pop, and I was like, I'm never gonna walk again. Like that's how I felt. I was like, it's never gonna happen. It was one of the most painful injuries I've ever had. I cannot now. Obviously, he had really high end medical trainers and medical staff and access to medicine that I don't.
But still, I mean, you could see him in the game. He's going like obviously after that happened to him. They start. I don't know if this was going into the game a design game plan or if it just was a product of him being injured. But it seemed like they started running the ball a lot more.
They did,
and he's sitting there literally hopping on one leg back to Pacheco to hand the ball off. I mean, like that's insane.
He's just a gladiator, man. Like that's it. There's a difference that I heard somebody say on 92.9 this morning that they said there's a difference in being hurt and being injured. Like everybody at this stage of the game is hurt. Like there's not a player that's out there that's not hurt in some way.
Yeah.
And like, but this guy was injured and he's still doing like just absolute warrior stuff from Patrick Mahomes on Sunday.
The two things in sports that it reminded me of is obviously one of the most famous games, Michael Jordan's flu game, and then in the 2004 ALCS when Kurt Schilling pitched on a bloody ankle, where it's like literally these guys, the will to win is that much greater than the amount of pain or discomfort that they're in. It's like I don't care. I'm going out there. I'm doing everything I absolutely can to get this win for my team, and it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, I absolutely like it. It's hard to pick another best of the booth because of just how like essentially iconic. Like this really could be an iconic moment if they go on and win the Super Bowl. That's an iconic.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like half of football.
Yeah.
So anyway, I will say we're gonna come back to Patrick Mahomes in legit or counterfeit. So a little teaser for later in the show. But for my best of the booth, because I did still have to pick somebody that wasn't Patrick Mahomes. I went with the Eagles offensive line. Those dudes are. I mean, I think that it's between the Eagles and maybe the 49ers of who has the best offensive line left in this. Like these quarterbacks are going to be so well protected on Sunday. It's going to be ridiculous. But the Eagles offensive line allowed the Eagles to run for 268 yards, 268 rushing yards. Jalen Hurts, do you know how many times he was sacked on Sunday?
I'm going to say 0.
Close, 1. Okay. He was sacked 1 time. And outside of the sack, guess how many times he was pressured?
Probably 2 other times, if that.
That's exactly right, 2. He was so there were only 3 times, including the sack, where they even were able to get I don't think they had to wash his uniform after the game. Just you can wear it again. He's probably pretty fine to go again, other than just his sweat. But it wasn't dirty. He wasn't on his back. He wasn't getting hurt. He didn't get hit. That's an unbelievable stat to me from an offensive line. 200 not only that they were able to run the ball that much, but then also protect Jalen as well as they did. It's just like you're not going to win a football game against an offensive line who's doing that. And offensive lines, I'm really glad that here in our second to last best of the booth, is we get to talk about this, and that it's like who else who like offensive line is the most important thing in the game of football, and you see that when it comes to how well quarterbacks are able to do things, how well running backs are able to run the ball, how productive they are. It all comes down to the offensive line, the most unsung hero. And so I want to give the best of the booth to those unsung heroes of the Eagles offensive line. Interestingly enough, also a Kelsey in there. So you got two brothers, both hanging out on best of the booth this week. I know that they're like that'll probably end up on their Wikipedia page. Is that they were both best of the booth in the same week. So yeah, Eagles offensive line was absolutely ridiculous this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, an absolute monster unit for maybe the best team in football.
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued to see what this offense can do against the best defense in football in the 49ers. I think that's going to be such a good game. And yeah, the fact that they protected Jalen as well as they did, and the fact that they allowed the running back committee behind them to put up 268 yards is unbelievable. I mean, rushing for 268 yards in 2022. I know it's 2023 now, but that's unheard of. It's unbelievable.
What's funny is I was actually looking at my my time hop. I don't know if you know what time hop is.
Yeah.
You know what time hop is? Okay. Yeah. So
I'm hit, man.
Okay, listen, I don't know how many. I don't know if I'm old. I don't know if that's it. If it's like nobody uses that, Blake. Like time hop, it shows you what you posted or pictures you took from this same day, a year or 2 years or 11 years ago for me, because I've been on social media forever.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, I saw that last year there were no 100-yard rushers in the playoffs this same weekend last year. The highest rushers were Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, who both rushed for like 68 and 79 yards respectively, something like that. Like one of them ran for 70 something, the other ran for 60 something. And there were no other 100-yard rushers. And then you contrast that even just with this game. This game, you had 268 rushing yards from one team.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Very close to having 200-yard rushers on one team.
Just crazy, man. So, I mean, I felt like the credit there goes to the offensive line, especially, when you think about how clean Jalen Hurts was able to stay all game. Like, you're going to win when that's happening. Like when the offensive line is just dominating, you're gonna win.
For the record, there was only 200-yard rushers this weekend, but there was 4 90-yard plus rushers. 2 of those were on the same team.
That's crazy. Yeah.
The other 2 were Isaiah Pacheco, who had 95 for Kansas City, and Joe Mixon, who had 105 for Cincinnati, which leads in well.
Oh.
To my under review.
Okay.
And my under review has to be this Buffalo Bills defense. Ooh. This Buffalo Bills defense is legit. They are, all season, they were one of the best defenses in the league. Let me just hit you with some of these numbers. Throughout the 2022 regular season, they only allowed 104 rushing yards per game. That was 5th best in the league. They allowed 17.9 points per game, which was
gotta be number 1.
Second best. Number one, San Francisco.
49. Right.
They had 27 total takeaways, which is 4th best in the league. You know what they did on Sunday against this Cincinnati Bengals team?
They did none of that.
They allowed 172 rushing yards. They allowed 27 points. And they had 0 takeaways and 1 sack. Just garbage numbers. You can't win when you're doing that. And I mean the old saying goes, defense wins championships. This is why they lost. The Bills defense couldn't stop anything. They allowed the Bengals to do whatever they wanted, and I think you can give a lot of blame to Josh Allen not having a great game. He didn't have a terrible game though. He didn't
Right.
have an awful game. He had the one turnover, but outside of that, 25 of 42, 265 yards. That's not bad. Picked up another 26 yards on the ground and a touchdown on the ground. Like that's not a terrible game. It's not a Josh Allen game. It's not what we expect out of him, but it's not terrible. This Bills defense allowed Cincinnati to do whatever. Joe Burrow had 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. I want to say he had the third highest passer rating of the weekend behind Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. Like, just they couldn't stop anything. And I gotta say, I think we undervalued this Bengals team all season, and especially going into this game. Like we talked last week about how Buffalo and Kansas City, like those are the big dogs of the AFC. And Cincinnati is just, there's a noticeable difference. They're just slightly behind them, and maybe they're not. Maybe they're just as good.
Okay. I'm gonna jump in here.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
The Bills. There's 2 very specific guys that were not on the field. For that defense.
There are injuries for sure. That is fair.
You've got Von Miller,
yes,
who was having a really good season for them, and he does so much for you as far as opening up their other pass rushers who are not quite on his level, but that they're able to do more because of the attention given to him. And Micah Hyde, also not able to come back yet. So you have really, when you look at that defense, I would probably put Jordan Poyer above Von Miller in terms of like importance to that defense. But like Micah Hyde's number 1. Like he's the best player on that defense in my mind.
Yeah.
And then also no doubt Von Miller's top 5, maybe top 3. And so like you're out 2 of your top 5 weapons on your defense, which is part of the reason why they put up such great numbers all season, was because those guys were in, and then they got hurt kind of the last like 5 or 6 weeks. I know Hyde was out. He might have been out like closer to half the season.
Yeah, he was out for a good chunk.
But then who replaced him?
Damar Hamlin. Yeah.
So they're on their 3rd string safety.
Von Miller's been out since Thanksgiving. I want to say he got injured in that Thanksgiving game.
Yeah. So, so that's what, like 6 weeks ago. That's a while, but like, their stats are probably inflated from the time when he was playing and then didn't get brought down much after. So I'm just saying when it gets to the playoffs and you really need every player that you can have on the field, especially when you're playing an offense as talented as Cincinnati, and their weakness is their offensive line, and you're not able to take advantage of it because Von Miller's not there. That's just like, to me, I'm not trying to take credit away from Cincy, because what Cincy did was ridiculous. They dominated Buffalo in every phase of the game. And what we saw from Buffalo, even down the stretch, nobody was making excuses for this defense that was still performing really well, right? Like they were still having good games.
Right.
But I think that this is where it showed up that it was like, yeah, they're not 100%. Like they're not able to get the pressure on Joe. They're not able to defend over the top like they normally would be able to with the presence of Micah Hyde and Poyer and the communication they have together, and what Damar Hamlin even had brought in the meantime. So while I don't want to take anything away from your under review, I think when you put them under review, to me that's what jumps out is those 2 names that were, or 3 names if you want to mention Damar Hamlin missing from that defense. So
for sure, yeah. I mean, there's definitely injuries, and injuries play a factor. But I mean, at this point in time, at this point in the season, it's very rare that any team is 100% healthy.
Right. But how many of those teams are missing?
There are key pieces for sure. Yes, I agree. Yeah. I just think that. Again, like I said, I think that we kind of undervalued this team for most of the season.
I'm with you on that. I don't disagree with that at all.
I think, and it's not just us. Like I think the media in general didn't give Cincinnati the amount of respect they deserve. Like they were in the freaking Super Bowl last year.
And there's a lot of people that had them not making the playoff. I might have been one of those people. I don't remember where I had them.
Yeah,
I don't think I had them missing the playoffs.
I just went and looked back at mine to see where I had him. I had him at 14-3, so I was fine.
Okay.
did not whiff on that, but I do remember. I remember bringing.
I had them at 15-2. So yeah, I'm with you. I guess I was smarter than I thought. Too.
I remember bringing up in the North preview that we did though that I was like, why does it seem like everybody is sleeping on this team when they were just in the Super Bowl? It didn't make sense to me. And again, I mean, I still think that even though we both had their records pretty high, I think that we still, throughout the course of the season, thought that they, like, it was the Chiefs and the Bills AFC to lose. And we didn't say it was the Bengals.
How the Bengals started off so slow.
They did start off slow, yes.
Yeah, they didn't look great. They came out looking very flat to start the year.
They were 2-3 out the gate.
Yeah. And it was kind of like, what happened with this team?
Yeah.
But they fixed it.
Yeah. I mean, they went 11-1. They went 11-1 down the stretch, and one of those was not 11-1. They went 10-1, and one of those was against the Chiefs.
Yeah. One
of those wins was against the Chiefs, who Bengals have had their number. They have. Makes for a spicy AFC Championship game. We'll get to that though.
Yeah. Under review. See, I was able to give you some excuses for the Bengals defense. There are no excuses for this guy, none whatsoever. And we even talked before the show. It's like I don't even know if I want to keep talking about him. This will be the third week in a row he has made an appearance in the opening segment of our show, and that's Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott under review because, listen. We got into it on the Discord a little today. Sure, there were some plays that happened in that game that could have had different outcomes. You've got the Turpin kickoff that he might have been able to do something different. You've got Diggs.
That's the most important one to me is the Turpin kickoff return because there was a clear outside lane that all he would have had to beat is the kicker, and he had that.
Okay,
but he cut inside.
Let me ask. But even including that, did he make a good play?
I mean, he's still like
was that a good return?
Oh, it was a fantastic return. But you're talking about how you had a guy blocking for you, and all you had to do was beat the kicker. And if you cut to the outside, that's 6 easy. But you cut to the inside and ran into the kicker.
You're talking about decisions that took a play from a great play down to just a good play. Same with Trey Diggs.
Yes,
interception
absolutely.
hits him in the hands. You know what that means? It means the guy didn't catch the ball. It's the second best thing you can do to picking it off is knocking it down to the ground. So
absolutely, yeah.
So it's still a good play. It's just not quite a great play. Do you know who didn't even have good plays on Dak Prescott? Didn't have good plays. Okay, he did complete for 62%, but listen, that's the only stat I wrote down. Like, it's like, to me, it doesn't matter. Like, that, it's not about the numbers. It's about when you watch the game, those interceptions that he threw are passes that I wouldn't have thrown in Madden. And I'm not an NFL quarterback, but like,
I probably would have.
You would have. Yeah, absolutely. Those are passes that Devin makes in Madden that I don't make in Madden, which is why it's never really fair when we play. And so, like, it's a corner route, and I mean, it's a curl route, and the corner sees it and is cutting the route, and when Dak throws it, and it's like, why are you throwing this ball? Same thing with the other one. I know it deflected off of Ward and then into the hands of the I don't remember, was it Greenlaw who picked off the second one?
Possibly.
That it's like, but he still threw it into double coverage and hit somebody wearing red in the chest. Like, that's what happened. It wasn't a great play by the defense. Like, they disguised something, and then later in the game, on that last drive, throw to Dalton Schultz, where it's like he had his mind made up before the ball was snapped. I'm throwing this to Dalton Schultz. I don't care if he's open or not. And he stepped back and he threw it, and it hit the defender in the hands again. And it was like, what are you doing? Then this is all compounded to me with that last just nonsense drive, which we were not even going to get into because it's not important to me. The game was well lost before that point. When they do that rollout and Dak is in the end zone, I really was like, does he not see Teron Armstead, who is running right at like Teron Armstead is a huge human being, very large guy.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in me that thinks Dak saw that and thought, no problem. Like that, I cannot make it to where Dak is just that stupid that he saw Teron Armstead and thought, I'll just run through him. I really think he didn't see him. And he was standing in front of him. It was just so confounding how dumb he was all game. Like, especially when you contrast that to last week where he had 5 total touchdowns.
Yeah.
He was a machine last week, and then he comes out this week and San Francisco's defense is the best defense in football, hands down. I don't think that there's a second that's close.
Yeah.
But that didn't have anything to do with how Dak played on Sunday. Dak, it could have been against a high school football team, and I still think Dak would have thrown at least one pick because he would have thrown it to the wrong team. It just doesn't make any sense. I've been a pretty staunch Dak defender, and I'm retiring. I'm retiring from it. He can just spend the rest of his life under review, or maybe he'll be as good of a commentator as Tony Romo, but I doubt it. He hasn't been better than Tony Romo at anything else. So, Dak Prescott under review. You're ending your season under review. You can't do nothing about it now.
Yeah, I do wonder. I do wonder if his days in Dallas are numbered. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And he's got 2 years left on the
it's
contract.
it's so tough to say that he is a glaring problem with that team because, again, like you look at what he did last week, and obviously, like it's a big difference between playing with the Bucks and playing against the Bucks and playing against the Niners. Like,
Yeah.
the Bucks, while that defense is decent, it's not the number one defense in the league. And I think there's such a like after the Niners, and then I would even say maybe even you could put the Bills up there. Like there's a steep drop off, and the Bucks not even in the same league, but you have weeks where you're throwing 5 touchdowns where everything looks easy for you, and then you have weeks like this one where it's like, what is wrong with you? And it's the same against the Commanders to end the season. It's like what's going on here? Like what are you doing? And I feel like he's a little too streaky and too hot and cold, and I just wonder how long that front office is going to put up with that. I know he's still got 2 years left on his deal, but like maybe I'm not saying this year, but maybe you could see a trade in his future. Honestly,
Yeah, and it's hard because like there's an element of Dak Prescott that he's good. He would be a great game manager.
yeah,
But you don't want to lean on him too hard. And then when Tony Pollard goes out, you
that
have
was
to
a
lean on Dak.
that was a key factor, I think.
And so that was big. Like to me, that was a really hard thing to watch in that game. Is like how different is that game if Tony Pollard is able to play the whole game and they're able to lean on the run a little bit more and have the two-headed weapon that is him and Zeke. Because Zeke is not as explosive as he used to be.
No, definitely not.
And Dallas knows that, and they don't lean on him either. Tony Pollard gets the majority of the carries.
Yeah.
But and then Zeke is the kind of come in and pound it back. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like I think if Tony Pollard stays healthy, I don't know that Dak is as big of a glaring issue in this game. But they
Yeah.
were struggling on the ground anyway. I mean, because it was San Francisco. Like,
Yeah.
and maybe that's San Francisco knowing that if you make Dak Prescott beat you, you've got a good chance to win the game.
It'll be interesting to see what state that team is in going into the 2023 season because there's a lot of question marks right now with that team. I think that that front office definitely has to be questioning the future of Mike McCarthy being the head coach. He was on the hot. I don't know if he was on the hot seat, but he was definitely on a warm seat going into the season, and deservedly so. Like he has not been great there. He's had about the same type of success as he had with the Packers, where he's gonna get you 10+ wins a season, but you know what are you actually going to accomplish once you get to the playoffs? And you got Kellen Moore. interviewing for head coaching jobs, which I think is a little crazy. You have Dan,
yeah.
you have Dan
Real
Quinn,
crazy.
you have Dan Quinn interviewing for head coaching jobs. Like these are
Also seems a little crazy to
these
me.
are key coordinator positions, and like Dan
Yeah.
Quinn has done wonders with that defense this year. So
Yeah.
if he leaves, what does that mean for the defense? If
I don't know.
if
man. That
Kellen
defense,
Moore,
the personnel is so good.
it is good for sure, yes. But if Kellen Moore leaves, what does that mean? The offense looks like if Mike McCarthy's not there, maybe those two guys don't even go over to the new staff. I think there's so many question marks from the leadership positions on that team, and then even looking at Dak, like what does his future look like in Dallas? It's a weird state that team is in. And it's tough to say the window's closing for them because they do seem like such a young team when you look at a lot of the star pieces there. Obviously,
Yeah.
Tony Pollard's not an old guy. Zeke's getting
No.
up there, but
CeeDee Lamb is young.
CeeDee Lamb's young. You've got all kinds of playmakers on the defense that are young guys.
Very young, yeah.
But with all of the question marks, it might be closing. It might be.
Yeah. Would you trade Dak to San Francisco for one of those guys? And if you're San Francisco, would
Man.
you? Well, I guess his contract, unless it's Jimmy G.
See, I was thinking about that earlier about if I would trade away like a Trey Lance or Brock Purdy or somebody like that from San Francisco. And I just don't know. I don't know if those guys are as successful other places. Like I wonder how much of
That's true.
how much of Purdy's success this season is more a reflection of Kyle Shanahan and not a reflection of his talent.
Yeah,
So,
and
and-
the talent
and-
around him.
Yeah, and you could say the same with Jimmy G in the years he's been there. Like how much of that is
Yeah.
actually on him, and how much of it is Kyle Shanahan.
It's true.
I just don't know if I'm a team making that trade. I don't know if I want to do that just because none of those quarterbacks have been incredibly flashy or brilliant,
Yeah.
but they've been good and they've been good enough,
Right.
and the playmakers around them help to build them up. So I don't know. That's a tough situation.
Speaking of quarterbacks,
Yeah.
for our legit or counterfeit, I have a fun legit or counterfeit for us. So quarterbacks still left in the playoffs right now. You've got Brock Purdy, you've got Jalen Hurts, you got Joe Burrow, you got Patrick Mahomes. So legit or counterfeit, Patrick Mahomes on one leg is still the best quarterback in these playoffs.
I mean, I don't know how I say counterfeit to that. Like, especially after the point I made that he, on one leg, had the highest passer rating out of everybody.
I mean, it was also against the Jags. Like, if
That is true. That is
like
true.
the other quarterbacks were facing tougher competition other than Jalen Hurts. I mean, all of the other defenses they played were as good, if not better than the Jags defense.
Yeah. I mean, to me, like I've said this before, I've gone on record saying this multiple times. Patrick Mahomes is the single greatest quarterback I've ever seen with my own two eyes in my
Right.
lifetime.
Yeah.
Like,
so him
the-
on one leg. That's the question.
The most talented.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that guy cannot do. It's incredible. Like it's almost I've gotten to the point to where like you see some ridiculous highlight from him, and it's like, oh yeah, that's Patrick Mahomes. Like, yeah, that makes sense. Like,
I do think that's partially a short memory because this is the same kind of stuff that Aaron Rodgers was doing when Aaron Rodgers was starting off. Like,
yeah, but even as like
he had the same, like, he was throwing balls sidearmed and with his left arm and like between his legs sometimes and just dropping in dimes from 60 yards away. Like, and he could make plays with his feet. Like Aaron Rodgers he did have a lot of mobility when he was early.
I'm not disagreeing with you only because that's Aaron Rodgers is the guy before Patrick Mahomes that I said is the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. And people always, it's always been Tom Brady. And it's because of the accolades, and I get that. But when you look at pure talent, Aaron Rodgers was more talented,
Yes.
and it still is, in my opinion. But Patrick Mahomes, like even as a Packers fan watching Aaron Rodgers from the very beginning, Patrick Mahomes is better, man. He is.
But you don't think that if Aaron Rodgers had the weapons that Patrick Mahomes has in Kansas City in the same system,
he had
you don't
he
think he
had
would be doing?
he had weapons when he started. He had Greg Jennings. He had Jordy Nelson. He had Donald Driver in his last couple of years there. He had a young Randall Cobb. He had Jermichael Finley for the 2 years he was good. Like, he had good guys. And then even towards the last couple of years, he's had Devontae Adams, which is one of the top 5 wide receivers in the league. So this,
But again,
it sounds very.
Are those guys as good after they left Green Bay?
I mean, that's fair.
Was Jordy Nelson still great?
I think you could make the same. I was gonna say I think you could make the same argument about some of the guys there, but Tyreek Hill just went and had a great season with Tua.
Fantastic season.
Yeah, with Tua. I think it's
I'm
a
not
little
discrediting Mahomes. Don't take
no,
this as
no,
me
yeah.
discrediting Mahomes.
I think it's a
I'm
little.
just saying that, like, I think that we just forget what it was like to watch prime Aaron Rodgers before. Didn't he have an injury that kind of slowed him down a little bit?
He's had multiple injuries.
Yeah, and so he's had these injuries. I think that took away from his speed and his ability to get outside the pocket like Patrick Mahomes does.
I do think that a lot of the guys that he had there, when they eventually left, they weren't necessarily in like the prime of their careers. Like Tyreek Hill is still in the prime of his career, so you would expect him to have very similar numbers somewhere else. Like the guys that were when Jordy Nelson left, he was not like he played 1 or 2 more years. He played 1 or 2 more years.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Like that was it. When James Jones left, like he was not in the prime of his career.
I forgot James Jones was a person. So
James Jones was pretty solid back in the day. When Randall Cobb left, like he was
not
on the back end of his career.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a super fair comparison. Devontae still had a decent year in an offense that was bad. Like the offense just wasn't good. That's not a knock on him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back to the question
I'm gonna say, on one foot, the man is still the best.
You would still take him over Patrick Mahomes? I mean, over Joe Burrow? Sorry. Joe Burrow? You would take him over Joe Burrow?
Burrow
after what he did?
Burrow's
dissecting the Bills defense?
Burrow is the one that if I was to take any of them, it would be him.
Jalen Hurts?
I would take
the smartest
QB
QB left in the playoffs?
I just I don't know if he is, man. Like I think part of Mahomes' talent is also
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm
Wicked
saying?
Spot.
Yeah.
Wicked spot. Like Patrick Mahomes, he checks every box, but I think Jalen is a little bit smarter as far as reading the style of offense he does.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes it's a different kind of smart in his ability to improvise that I haven't seen that quite as much from Hurts.
Yeah.
But like definitely not Purdy. Like Purdy's
no, definitely not.
He's fine.
Yes.
He's still too young to be in this conversation, other than that he's here. He's made it. He made it. Yeah. He rode the back of Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey.
Hey. Purdy has had a very, very good start to his career. And
have you recently tried to ride on anybody's back? It's not easy. It's not always easy, okay? Especially with how fast Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel run. You gotta hold on.
I think let's give Purdy some credit, man. Like
I'm with
this past weekend is honestly that's what I've been waiting to see from Purdy to like really evaluate whether or not he was actually a decent quarterback. And I think he is. Like I don't think he didn't have a great game by any means, but like he didn't have a bad game, and he played an efficient and mistake-free game against a very good Dallas Cowboys defense. Very good Dallas Cowboys defense. He had a decent game, and to me, as a rookie, that says, okay, you've got potential.
Oh yeah,
because if you can do this in your rookie season, like that's the guy that's number one on my quarterback depth chart going into the next season.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. He's QB1 for me next season. Like You
Yeah.
start him over Trey Lance. Over
I don't
Jimmy
think
G.
I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo has a better game than him against that Dallas Cowboys defense.
Oh no way. Jimmy G throws at least one pick. I mean, he's always good for one pick.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm tempted. When I came up with this question, I was kind of thinking, yeah, Patrick Mahomes. But the more I think about it, like, I don't know that I would say that Patrick Mahomes on one leg clears Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
On 2 feet, absolutely. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the playoffs. But I think on one leg, I don't know that I would say that he is the best on one leg when comparing him to Burrow and Hurts. Like,
That's fair.
it's not like, oh yeah, he's still better than them
Yeah.
definitively. So I think I'm gonna go counterfeit. I don't think that one-legged Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the playoffs. Which again, it's just fun. It's like I would. It's like could Patrick Mahomes win a Super Bowl with a peg leg? Like could he just be like, you know what, amputate it? I'll just go out there with a peg leg
What's
and
what's
we
real
will
what's
win.
what's real crazy is that like there's 4 quarterbacks left, and Patrick Mahomes on half of his feet is
4 quarterbacks,
is still
7
not the
legs.
worst one left. Like,
Oh,
that's how
definitely not. Yeah.
good he is.
No, he's definitely not the worst. Honestly, one-legged Patrick Mahomes is still about as mobile as Joe Burrow, and has probably got better pocket presence awareness than Joe Burrow. So yeah. Anyway,
I think I would say Mahomes on one leg is still a top 10 quarterback in the league.
oh yeah,
Like,
easy.
That's how freaking good he
One-legged
is.
Patrick Mahomes could be an amputee and still finish top 10 in MVP voting. That's the title of the episode.
Oh,
Amputee MVP. Patrick Mahomes.
All right. Let's jump over to championship weekend. We got 3 games left. 2 this weekend, and the big one,
I was like, I only
February
picked
12th.
2 games. Was there a third I didn't know about? Oh man.
Let's jump over to championship weekend, and I say it's time we get piggy with it.
Getting picky with it. Getting picky with it. Getting picky with it. Getting picky with it.
Starting us off on Sunday at 3 p.m. over on Fox, we have the San Francisco 49ers heading in to Philadelphia to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. It's a battle of the 1 and 2 seeds. These two teams have been neck and neck all season as to who is the best in the NFC. And on Sunday, we're going to find out. Philly currently are 2.5-point favorites, which I think is maybe almost a little disrespectful to the Niners, weirdly. I get it, like the Eagles are very good, but I think the Niners defense is incredibly good.
Well, it
and
means that on a neutral site that the 49ers would be favored by 0.5 point.
yeah, well, I mean, I just think that you could make this line a 1-point line, and I would say that's probably fair. And making it, I don't know why 1.5 more feels a little disrespectful, but it does. If you're interested in going to this game, tickets are as low as $493. So I hope you got, some deep pockets there. This is a tough one to pick, man. Like I really, this might be one of the first years I've ever felt this way, but I really am okay with any combination of these 4 teams in the Super Bowl. Like I like different things about every single
Agreed.
one of these teams. But I think I'm going with the Niners here. And a lot of that, I think, is being a Gamecock fan. I love Deebo Samuel. I would love to see him go win one. Again, being from South Carolina, I saw Christian McCaffrey a lot in the Panthers uniform. and he's pretty dang good. And I want to see him go get one.
Yeah, that's true.
I love the story of this team being on their third quarterback. Trey Lance goes down in week 2, I think, is when he went down. Jimmy G goes down in like week 11 or whatever. Brock Purdy somehow, like, they just keep winning. They keep winning. It doesn't matter who's back there. You could throw a sack of potatoes back there in a Niners uniform, and they would probably still win,
Yeah.
11-10. And I want to see that story continue. I think it makes for a fun Super Bowl when you have stories like that. And that's no discredit to this Eagles team. This Eagles team is very fun, and I very much enjoy them. And I would love to see a Kelsey versus Kelsey Super Bowl. I think that would be awesome. But I'm rolling with the Niners. Who you got, man?
Yeah, I'm with you that I love this 49ers team. I don't think there is another team in the league, maybe the Chargers, that I could name, and obviously the Falcons, that I could name as many defensive players as I can on the 49ers.
Yeah.
You've got Nick Bosa, you've got Teron Armstead, you've got Fred Warner, you've got Trey Greenlaw, you've got Jimmy Ward. I mean, this team is stacked
Yeah.
defensively. And, like, I'm sure I forgot guys that I know even on that defense. Like, I love this defense. But I also really like Jalen Hurts. I've been high on Jalen Hurts all season.
Yeah.
First off, before we really jump into my pick here, I will toot my own horn. I almost put myself as best of the booth because when we predicted our preseason predictions, when was that? July?
August.
When we did our preseason predictions, my NFC championship game in August was Eagles and the 49ers. And here we sit. Blake Stradamus, we are however many months away. Not good at math, but I'm good at football. Knowing football, I guess. I'm not good at playing football. Good at knowing football. Here we sit. I was exactly correct. We are on the eve. We are on the precipice of watching my prediction come to fruition. And
Yep.
we will get to watch the fruits of my predictions. I just want to toot my own horn as much as I can right here. Because, I mean, I'm probably going to be wrong for the rest of it. I was wrong for a lot of things. But this one nailed it. I'm going to go with the Eagles. This Eagles offensive line is very good, can give Jalen Hurts time, can allow them to run the ball as we saw this last weekend. I think that although this Niners defense is the best defense in football, when you watch what the Eagles did with the Cowboys back during the regular season, when Jalen Hurts, when they neutralized Micah Parsons by just playing around him, that it was like, it doesn't matter. Whatever Micah Parsons does, we're going to do the opposite. So if he's coming after me, I'm going to hand the ball to Miles Sanders. If he goes after Sanders, I'm going to hand the ball. I'm going to keep the ball. If he feels like he's going to hang on to both of us, I'll just throw a quick slant to A.J. Brown, and he'll break off a 90-yard run, and we'll be fine. His ability, I've said it for weeks now, his ability to read defenses is unbelievable. And although this 49ers defense is the most talented defense in the league, I think that they're about to find out how much intelligence can win a football game. And so with my intelligent pick in the NFC championship game, my intelligence of predicting it, I'm going to go with the intelligent player. I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts. Got the Eagles winning this one. Although with you, I would be totally fine watching this 49ers team play in the Super Bowl and this defense be absolutely ridiculous. So I've got the Eagles. I was right. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Who did you have winning the NFC Championship back in August?
I think I picked the 49ers.
I thought you did as well.
I think I had 49ers Bills in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we both had Bills in the Super Bowl. We both whipped on that. I'm pretty sure I had like Cowboys Packers in the NFC Championship, and that was
I did have
obviously
Cowboys.
a bad pick.
Cowboys were my pick for mid-season Super Bowl champ, just to be a little different. I was like, I don't know, Cowboys.
Yeah,
Um,
I definitely undervalued this Niners team in our
for a
preseason
long
prediction.
time.
Uh,
For a long time.
for a long time, I did. Yeah, for most of this, I mean, a lot of the season, it took me until, I mean, honestly, probably until Jimmy G went down before I was like, oh, this team's actually like really good. But yeah, I said they were going to go 6-11 this year. Now, in my defense, because I do want to throw this out there, nobody knew that Trey Lance was only going to play a game in like a third. I assumed he was going to be playing the whole season. I'm not a Trey Lance fan. I don't think he's necessarily got it, but he's also had like, I don't know, 5 games to really show himself. So,
But
obviously, he could still turn out to be something. But assuming it was going to be Trey Lance.
Point. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, assuming it was going to be Trey Lance, I had them going 6-11. If it had been Jimmy G leading them the whole time, I probably would have said 11 wins, maybe at least 10 wins. But you know, you never know what kind of injuries are going to occur, and yeah, credit to Shanahan for what he's done.
Yeah, but it's not like the injury made you more right.
No, I
Their
agree.
first string quarterback.
No,
went
I
out, so they
agree.
won a lot more.
I agree. I'm just saying that I was assuming that it was going to be Trey Lance, and I'm not a Trey Lance fan, and so had it been someone else, I would have probably given them more wins.
Listen,
But I probably still wouldn't have taken them in the NFC Championship game.
I was assuming that quarterback is the weak link, and I thought, hey, if Trey Lance is as good as Jimmy G, then they're a 14-win team. And so,
Right,
listen,
I didn't think he would be. That was my reasoning.
yeah, that's fair. Well, your reasoning was wrong.
Oh, it was
So-
absolutely wrong. Most of my preseason predictions have been terrible. I'm the guy that famously gave my MVP nod last year to Baker Mayfield. So,
Baker
you know,
Mayfield.
that will go down. I don't know how long this podcast is going to last. I hope it lasts for many, many more years, but that might go down as the single worst prediction.
Horrible.
And like 10 years from now, 15 years from now, if we're still doing this, I think that will still be looked back upon as the worst preseason prediction ever made.
And also to toot my own horn, I also had Bosa as my defensive player of the year.
Yeah, fair, because he's probably going to win it. Actually, I take back my previous statement. Just as equally bad of a preseason prediction will be Hayden predicting Matt Ryan to win MVP. So just throwing that out there. Equally as bad.
Also, I'll confess that I picked Joey Bosa to win defensive player of the year.
Oh, you had the wrong Bosa.
Hey, but hey, that's pretty close though. I was 50% right. I got the last name exactly right. You know, if I walked into and I was like, "Hey, this is $50,000 on Bosa to win defensive player of the year." Hey, you know, that's a win. That's a win.
I don't think that's how it works in Vegas, but okay.
Hey, you know what? That have been really good to just be like, I got Manning in this one. I got him. Put my money on Manning. And they just have to split your money up because they're like, I don't know who he's talking about. We'll just put it on both.
Oh man. Either way, I think this game will be a very, very good game.
I hope so, man.
Two very good teams going up against each other. I'm excited for that
If
one.
it's a blowout, which way is it going to be a blowout?
Eagles over Niners.
Yeah.
I don't think I think there's a lot of good pieces on that Niners offense, but I don't think that offense is capable of putting up enough points to blow out another team.
Yeah, I think if there's a blowout, it's got to be because of Brock Purdy. Like that's the
Yes.
only
Yes.
and if that's what happens, it's going to happen bad, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it will
I
look
don't foresee it happening. Although this Eagles defense to me is very slept on.
true. Yeah, I'm with you.
They've got maybe the best corner tandem in the league in Darius Slay and James Bradbury.
Yeah.
That might be the best 1-2 punch in terms of corners across the whole league. And
Possibly.
so that'll be my what to watch for on this Eagles defense is watch for pressure up the middle with that beefy interior line that the Eagles have.
Yeah.
And then how good Darius Slay and James Bradbury are covering those wide receivers.
To me, I think all Purdy has to do is not be any worse than last week. And
Yeah.
the fact that you just played a very good defense in Dallas, I think
Mhm.
bodes well playing against this Eagles defense.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that those two teams are similar necessarily, but they're two top tier elite defenses. And
Yeah.
again, all you got to do is not be any worse.
Yeah.
You would hope that he would be a little bit better, but I think what he did last week was good enough to get the job done because of how good that defense is and how good the playmakers around him are. So, but I'm with you. I think that if it's a blowout, it will be because Brock Purdy ends up looking like a third string quarterback.
Yeah.
Which-
If Brock Purdy plays like he played last week, he won't be the reason they lose this game.
Exactly. Yeah.
It'll be because they were just outmatched. The Eagles offense, or maybe the ground game's not able to keep up, or whatever.
Yeah.
But it won't be Brock Purdy's fault if he
Or
plays like he played last week.
An untimely turnover on special teams, or
Yeah.
or
Any number of
Debo or McCaffrey turning the ball over, something like that. But yeah, I'm with you. Well, let's head on over to the AFC side of things, and the AFC Championship at 6:30 p.m. over on CBS. This will be a good one, man. This will be a good one. We've got kind of, we've talked about the Bills and the Chiefs having a little bit of a mini rivalry because of playoffs. I think Bengals and the Chiefs, especially amongst those fans, I think they feel a little rivalry here. I think just based off of one Chiefs fan in particular in our Discord,
Yep.
I think Chiefs fans have a lot of hatred towards this Bengals team.
They don't like them at
They
all.
don't like them at all. But over on CBS 6:30, we've got Cincinnati Bengals head into Arrowhead to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. This was the shocker to me when I looked at the lines this
It
morning.
is surprising.
Cincinnati are 1.5 point favorites on the road in Arrowhead against the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know. Can you remember the last time the Chiefs were underdogs at home?
No.
Especially in the Patrick Mahomes era. This is something. I think Vegas is either buying in to how good this Bengals team is, which I don't think that's the reason, or they're buying into the Mahomes injury being
they know a
more
little
being
bit
more of
more
a
than-
factor. They could also know a little bit more. That's for sure. I do wonder what Patrick Mahomes' lack of mobility will do to this game. And it's unfortunate that we don't get him at full strength. Even if he plays, he's not going to be 100%. No, he's not going to be 100%.
No.
I mean, we'll be lucky if he's 80% on Sunday. But I'm hopeful that doesn't take away too much from this game. I think these two teams have played some very good games over the last 2 years in particular. The Bengals obviously beat them last year in the AFC Championship game to move on to the Super Bowl, and the Bengals played them. I think they played them in the 2021 season and beat them. Yeah, they were like one of the only teams to beat them over like the last 10 games of the regular season in 2021, and then the Bengals beat them this year as well. The Bengals have the Chiefs' number. And I think that coupled with the Mahomes injury, it's going to take something real special from old Patty Mahomes to get the job done.
Old one-legged peg-leg pirate Pat over there.
And I don't see it happening. I've got Cincinnati getting the win, setting up a Cincy San Francisco Super Bowl. That is what I'm hopeful for. Who you got, man?
I actually changed my answer. I had written one thing. I changed it because I think, okay, so I think that what I want to see the Chiefs. I want to see Patrick Mahomes pull a Jordan and flu game again. That's what I want. I will be rooting probably for the Chiefs, but I think it's gonna be the Bengals. I just think that Mahomes injury does worry me because of how much he's dependent on the improvisation,
Yeah.
and I just don't know if playing against a defense that gets so much. The problem is that the Bengals, again, interior defensive line, DJ Reader and I can't remember the other guy's name. They're tough, man. That is a tough interior line. And if you are able to get pressure up the middle on an injured quarterback, which essentially is a stationary quarterback, that's been the key to Tom Brady for years. That's why the Falcons were winning the Super Bowl. Is Grady Jarrett tied the Super Bowl record for sacks as an interior defensive lineman getting pressure. If you can do that against a stationary quarterback, that's the key to success. And I just don't know how mobile Mahomes is going to be on that high ankle sprain. From what I've heard, it is a high ankle sprain.
Yeah.
And it sucks, man. Like, as someone who's had it, but that's probably why I'm picking the Bengals, is like, I've had a high ankle sprain. And I'm like, this is not like you can turn your ankle in basketball and that's a bad sprain. Like, I've had both. I've had tons of like just sprained ankles, but this high ankle sprain, you feel it like in your shin.
Yeah.
Like it's so painful. And I don't, again, that's part of it is ignorance of, I don't know how much they're able to do as far as immobilizing it with wraps and, what kind of stuff they're going to be able to do behind the scenes this week leading up to the game to help him recover. But don't make the man practice. Like, put him on one of those, like,
he ain't
put him on one of
practicing.
those like knee rollers,
Yeah.
that you see people after they have knee replacement surgery and they're rolling around. Yeah. Put him on one of those for practice.
That guy's sitting and watching as much tape on the Bengals as he can. He ain't out there on the field practicing.
He's living Deshaun Watson's dream because he's got somebody massaging his leg, and physical therapy is happening 24/7 over at the Mahomes house, I'm sure. But yeah, that's honestly the only reason I think I'm picking the Bengals. But again, my heart wants to see Patrick Mahomes again in the Super Bowl, but especially if he's able to do it on one leg, is just cements his status as the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah. I mean, I think that. Listen, if Patrick Mahomes goes out there, wins this game, they go on to win whoever they face in the Super Bowl. Go ahead and put the dude in the Hall of Fame. Like what?
Build him
What are we waiting on? I mean, at that point, he will have more than likely 2 MVPs. He will have 2 Super Bowl victories. He will have done it on one leg. Like, what else do you need? I mean,
yeah,
that guy will have had a better career in 5 years than, I don't know, almost every other quarterback outside of maybe Tom Brady.
Yeah,
I mean, that's incredible.
He probably will have the best 5-year span. If he comes out and wins this Super Bowl, he probably will have the best 5-year career of like anybody. You can pick the 5, It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough not to say, because Brady won 3 and 4 years, like when he first started.
That's right.
Like 01, 03, and 04, I believe. Which it's just stupid. It makes me I hate myself for the amount of times I've said Brady's name on this podcast alone.
You've said it.
I've said it way too much. But yeah, I'm with you. I would love to see Patrick Mahomes do that, and because that's what makes sports great, is when you see special things like that happen.
Yeah. That's how I feel. That's why I'm rooting for it.
I just don't. It sucks, but I don't see it happening because of how good this Bengals team is and the history between the recent history. The Bengals have their number. Like, I don't know what it is, but they've figured it out. Yeah, it's crazy. From a defensive standpoint, if you were the defensive coordinator for the Bengals, would you blitz at all in this game?
I think I might blitz more because because you don't want to give Mahomes time because of how well this team does when things break down. Like, you're just going to give Kelsey
That's true.
time to. So if you can put more pressure on Mahomes,
That's true.
already in a when the prey is injured, you don't just let it die. Like, you attack. And
Right.
that's how I feel like they need to do is they need to push. They need to hit him as many times as possible. I know it sounds dirty. Please don't get mad at me. But from a competitor standpoint, if you know that he's
That's
not
fair.
100%, you go after him and you say, beat us another way.
Yeah.
Or overcome it and beat us. But you're not going to beat us because we're being nice to you.
Right. I
so-
see. I was looking at it almost from the other side of it. Like, if you don't blitz at all, you've got more guys in coverage to where he can't beat you passing. However,
He's
he's
gonna
still
beat you
going
passing.
to, and
Right,
and
yeah.
in my opinion, that would force them to run the ball, which is they've actually been doing well. So
They have.
I don't
That
know.
does-
See,
That's
this
the X factor here is Pacheco. Like,
this
honestly,
is why I'm not a
Isaiah
defensive
Pacheco's the X
coordinator.
factor.
This is why I'm not employed by an NFL team right here.
I mean, I'm not either. So
But no, I agree with you. I think that blitzing more would almost be beneficial because what Mahomes does so well is the backyard football style plays where he gets out of the pocket, he scrambles around for 5 million years back there and points Kelsey open and says, "Okay, yeah, I'm throwing it to you and let's go." And
yeah.
he's not gonna be able to.
I would expect to see a lot of running backs standing in the backfield blocking. I don't know which one of those two. I would think Pacheco's, because he's a little bit bigger. I would think he's probably the better blocker.
Yeah.
I would expect to see him staying back a lot and helping with protection so that they can buy more time. Maybe
Yeah.
you even see Travis Kelce stay back there a couple times blocking and then releasing. I think that you might see some shorter plays from Kansas City because of his limited mobility. You might not see as many big deep chunk plays, but who knows? I could be wrong. He might have 5 million passing yards on one leg, and then we'll come back and laugh at me. So
Yeah. So you're setting up Eagles Bengals Super Bowl,
yes,
and I'm setting up a Niners Bengals.
battle of the goals.
Yeah.
Eagles and Bengals.
Who wins in a fight, an Eagle or a Bengal?
Definitely a Tiger, man. Are you kidding?
The Eagle
He
has the
just
high
hit him
ground
one
though.
time. It doesn't matter. What's he gonna do with it?
No, I
can't.
I'll be that's fair. He just has the high ground. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm pointing out.
I have the high ground, Anakin.
Oh man! Either way, I feel like we're in for two very
I
good
hope
games
so,
this
man.
week, and I'm excited about these championship matchups. It should be a fun time.
This is usually the best football of the entire year is this weekend. The Super Bowl is almost always not as good of a game as these two games will be.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
Rule of
fair.
thumb.
That's fair. Well, we certainly appreciate all of y'all for tuning in whatever capacity you are. If you're watching us on YouTube, thanks for hanging out. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. And if you're listening to us in your car or at work or however you're consuming this podcast, we appreciate it. Follow us on our social medias. We don't have very many, but we're working on that for the future. It was brought up earlier in the Discord, and potentially we'll have some more social media presence moving forward. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We're just a couple of old dudes that don't know technology anymore.
We just like talking about football defense, run the ball like they did in the old days.
But as I always say, come hop into the Discord because that is the one area of social media that we do run pretty well, if I do say so myself.
Yes,
Um,
got a lot of good chats in there. You guys
Definitely.
talk disc golf a lot.
we
I
talk
have
all
no idea what
sports.
you're talking about most of the time. Yeah, we do the chuckle every day, which is great.
We even talk
and-
movies. We get movie talk going.
We do get movie talk going.
So if you like any sport out there, it's probably going to be talked about in some capacity in the Discord, as well
Yeah,
as other pop culture.
Yeah, really just the only thing that we're not probably going to touch is anything that can be bought at Hobby Lobby. Like, we're just not. Like, if crafts is your thing, why are you listening to this podcast to begin with? Thank you.
That's fair. Although I have gotten into dyeing my discs for
That's
disc golf.
true.
So,
That's true. Hey,
so there's a little crossover there.
a little bit on some quests, though.
Anyways, this has been way longer of a plug for Discord than it should have been. But the point of the matter is, come hop into Discord. It's a lot of fun. That's where
Yep.
the party is going down 24/7. But even if you don't want to do that, we appreciate you. We love you. We thank you for listening. And as always, I believe that's that.